Alaska is beautiful and it has a lot to offer as a state, but if you're watching this channel, you're probably also thinking it sounds really expensive. And you would be right. Across the board, Alaska is more expensive than the rest of the lower 48, just looking at the cost of living index. In other words, how far your wage is going to go towards kind of the average cost of living in the area. But there are actually places in Alaska that are cheaper than others to live in, and that dollar is going to stretch further. So we'll talk about some of those places today and where they are, population, what they have to offer. And before we get started though, if you haven't done so already, do give this video a like and do subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot of people find more content like this that's going to be useful for them. So without further ado, let's go and jump into today's video. Now, where we're going to be getting the numbers today that we're talking about is from bestplaces.net, which is pretty good for kind of comparing the cost of living index for what's going on just across the country. And it's taken a lot of things into consideration, like the cost of transportation, housing, food, all that stuff. It's going to take some generalizations and put it in there. So it's not going to be 100% accurate, but it should give you a general ballpark idea. So the first place, well, real quick actually. So the other thing is how the index works is anything that's 100% is going to be considered the national average. Anything above that is going to be considered a little bit above that. If it's below 100%, like 99%, it's below the national average. So let's go ahead and give you the top 5 cheapest places to live. We'll start from the bottom and work our way to the most cheap place to live. So without further ado, the first place that we're looking at is going to be Valdez, Alaska. Now, Valdez is about 105.3. So in other words, it's just over 5% over the national average. And it's a little town over, I think it's about 5-6 hours driving around Alaska, kind of on the interior a little bit, and then you pop out. It's a nice little coastal town of about 3,900, and if you're really into snow machining, hiking, climbing, doing some halibut fishing, long lining, stuff like that, it's going to be a great pick for you. So that's number one. If you're looking for kind of small town life, that's going to be a good place to go. The second town that we're going to be looking at is going to be Homer, Alaska. And it actually has exactly the same score as Valdez. So what we're looking at there is it's just over 5% of the average cost of living. It's approximately 5,400 people who live there. Pretty small town also. Very famous for halibut fishing. They kind of call themselves the halibut fishing capital of the world. I'm not sure how they determine that, but they've given themselves that title, and I don't know enough to fight them on it, so we're just going to give it to them. But yeah, lots of good fishing over there. You like anywhere in Alaska, you're going to have great scenes all the way around you, and they've got the spit where you can drive out there, and you know, they've got some great restaurants and other things there. So it's a really nice town. It is going to be like at the very end of the Kenai Peninsula. So it's called the end of the road for a reason, and if you like to be connected and have other stuff going on around you, you might feel a little isolated out there, but cost of living is going to be pretty low if you can get a job there. So that's a good option too. The next town on this list is going to be Fairbanks. So Fairbanks, getting a little bit cheaper, it's just 2% over the average cost of living across the entire United States. So Fairbanks is a town of about 32,000, so a little bit bigger than Valdez and Homer, and it's really going to be kind of centered around the Eielson Air Force Base over there. And the one thing I would say about Fairbanks, I get a lot of people who kind of reach out to me, and you know, they're talking about moving to Alaska and Fairbanks and Barrow and all these really interior northern places is really kind of what they're initially thinking. Fairbanks is going to have a more extreme climate than what you have in the majority of the state, because most of the state is going to be living in south central Alaska or the Kenai Peninsula, southeastern Alaska, and Fairbanks is kind of just up there, and they have more extreme weather, because here in south central we might get -10, -20 for a couple weeks out of the year, and it's not uncommon for them to be getting like -50, -60, and you know, temperatures like that up there. And then it actually does get a lot hotter during the summertime also. So just something to keep in mind. Lots to do, obviously. If you're outdoor oriented, that's going to be a good place to go. It's a very hardy people out there, so just kind of something to be aware of if you're checking places out. Let's take a quick break here real quick. So did you know that I actually do have an Instagram page in addition to hosting the Alaska Realtor YouTube channel? Well, I certainly do, so you should go check that out. There's going to be a lot of pictures on there of just kind of the day-to-day life, working in Alaska and hiking up here and all that good stuff. So do make sure you go take a look at it, and make sure to DM me there. Obviously like everything there, and be happy to interact with you on that platform. So let's go and jump into the last 2 cities in Alaska that are the cheapest places to live. And we actually have one that is below the national average, so excited to share that with you. The next town on my list actually comes in at just about 1% over the national average. It's like 0.8% over the national average, so pretty affordable on the national scale here, and that is Seward. So there are approximately 2,800 people who live in Seward year-round. It's going to be on the Kenai Peninsula, small town over on the ocean. And Seward is absolutely an awesome getaway. If you're in Anchorage or if you're a tourist, great place because you've got lots of places you can go and visit. You've got whale watching, you've got halibut fishing. I'm pretty sure you can do some hunting, cross-country skiing. You've got the hardy ice fields like not too far away. That's absolutely amazing. I think I've got some pictures of that on my Instagram, so go check that out. But yeah, it's absolutely awesome. And yeah, I'm just barely over the national average. So if you're into small town life, that might be a pretty good option for you. It's going to be a little bit more connected than what you'd have in somewhere like Homer, but still it's going to be a little isolated because, small town. Now, last but certainly not least is going to be the town that is the cheapest place in Alaska to live according to bestplaces.net, and that is the city of Kenai. So Kenai is obviously going to be on the Kenai Peninsula. It is abutting right up against Soldotna. So I want to say the numbers are probably going to be about the same for them. But what we're seeing here is that it's small town, really known for all the salmon runs that are going to be going through there on the Kenai River. And if you are an Alaskan and you do dip netting, you're probably fairly familiar with the Kenai, because that's where you can go, one of the places you can go and go dip netting and fill up your harvest cart of 25 plus salmon at one go fairly quickly if the salmon are running well. So it's pretty popular for that, and they do have a fair amount of land down there you can use also. Lots of hiking, obviously lots of fishing over there. It's going to be getting a little crowded during the summertime, just because of the tourism, and because they're also having all us other Alaskans that are showing up on their doorstep to go dip netting. So in the summertime, the population does definitely spike, and then it goes down during the winter time because they don't have any ski resorts or anything like that to draw people during the winter. So those are going to be your 5 cheapest places to live in Alaska. That being said, this list isn't exhaustive, and it's all going to kind of depend on what your income is and what it is that you're doing and what your lifestyle is. But this is just kind of to give you a ballpark idea. I personally live in Eagle River / Anchorage, Alaska, and that's supposedly about 34% above the national average. And I never really had much of a problem making ends meet here, but then again, my cost of living and lifestyle might not be the same as other people's. So just something to keep in mind. But I'm sure hope this was useful. If it has, do give this video a like. If you have questions, please reach out to me on my Facebook page. Link for that is going to be down below. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.